Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. I'm so excited that you're here and I have a special guest today, but I would just want to quickly say, if you're new to our channel, my name is Melanie Josephine and I am a dating life coach for women, and I have some really exciting news as well because I am launching a podcast which is going to be called the Change Your Love Life Forever podcast, and by the time this video comes out, my podcast will already be live with a lot of amazing content. And yeah, that's all for the news today. And now I would like our guest, Marcela, if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. It's super nice being here, Mel. It's really a pleasure to be with you today. And well, I am Marcela. I'm from Colombia originally, and I've been living in Europe for the last 8 years already. I've been in the Netherlands, I've been in Austria, and I've been in Germany, in Berlin for 5 years now, which is very, very long time. Yeah, and I guess the topic today is money, abundance, investing,
Yes.
finances, and that's exactly like the topic specializing. And it was an interesting story because I did study businesses back in Bogota and then here in Germany as well, but I always was really getting away from numbers. I didn't like numbers, I didn't like finances, accounting, or anything like that. But then over the last 5 years, I've really started a new journey in terms of educating myself about financial education and passive income streams, and just investing in how you really put your money work for you. And it has put me in such another position that I believe now, with that knowledge and kind of this privilege, I really wanted to pass it on to others. And that's why
Ah,
I created a new financial coaching program that I'm just giving to expats living in Europe.
yes. This is so amazing. Yes, of course. I didn't say that in the topic is money, and we're also going to talk a little bit about women empowerment. And I think probably money. Are you going to mainly talk about money related to women?
Exactly. I mean, it's I definitely, as a woman, feel very much strongly about just empowering women and really get them out of that fear of what
Mhm.
the investing world is, and how can we
Yes,
be active part of it and really empower ourselves all together and kind
yes.
of transform our lives through that.
I can actually completely relate to this, all this fear amount around investing, not really knowing that much about money. But I think it's very interesting. I never actually knew that you had those feelings in the past as well, because Marcela and I have known each other for a while, and it always came across as though you were just really interested and really knowledgeable about money. And so
Oh,
it's
really?
interesting, yeah, that there's also been a journey behind that. But I'm just gonna start with the first question and then we can take it from there. Um, so I'm really curious. You've told me about a negative money mindset, but what exactly does this mean? Like, what sort of conditioned sentences do a lot of us have in our mind that influence us negatively, that we're maybe not aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. Super important question. I think it's really like the best way to start because, mindset is just like the cornerstone, like the base for everything in life. And then if we have issues about, money or relationships or mental, whatever it is, it's mostly kind of centered into the mindset part. And that's why, I think it's like things are neutral in life, and then you either put them kind of a judgment, and they're either negative or positive. And then if you have a negative money mindset, it means that all your money and investing and financial decisions are going to be really, moved towards that mindset that is not supporting you, it is not serving you if you want to create
Mm-hmm.
something different. And
Mm-hmm.
you will just hear about kind of I cannot afford this, or I'm not good with numbers, or you have to be rich to start investing. And all those affirmations and kind of belief we have around money are really taking us a step backwards and are not allowing us to really act on things because they
Mm-hmm.
kind of really push us back. So that's important and relevant that we are aware of it, that we really look into those money beliefs we have and
Mm-hmm.
change them to really kind of shift them to positive, empowering mindset. and beliefs, so that we have better money decisions and we're not afraid about finances or anything like that.
So do you see this a lot with the clients or the women that you work with, that they have those certain beliefs that you've just mentioned?
I mean, of course, everybody's different, right? Like, everybody has negative mindset. Some people have already worked on it, like women I've worked with, they have already, been very conscious about their money mindset and have even attended seminars to really work on it, or have read books, which are also amazing. If you can kind of are studying the topic, you can start reading books on the topic, and then you can just kind of liberate in some ways from those negative thoughts and beliefs you have around money. But it is certainly, I think part of, talking about women and empowering women, also that is relevant, a shift on that because we're women, then normally the man is the one taking care of the finances at home, and then you don't really go all the way through that, and then maybe you leave your finances last on the list, so you don't give them the priorities needed to be given. And it's an amazing thing when you do that and you really engage with your finances, your numbers, and you just own it, because then you're more independent and you don't need kind of, anybody else to help you with that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm gonna head over to the second question. So how can women from different backgrounds and different levels of education build income streams to level up their finances?
Exactly. I think that's one of the reasons why I built up my coaching program. And it's because I really don't want to make any difference between backgrounds or education status, like in terms, we really need to make the money topic, which is of course sensitive, like a normal. It doesn't matter where you come from, how you look like, how much money you earn. In terms of, I think it's relevant in a pivotal point, education. That's so important, that we really educate ourselves, kind of, we sit down and do the work about what does this mean for me? How can I learn? How can I become financially literate? That's so important. And once we do that, it doesn't matter if you come from a different country or, whatever in the world you're living. It's just like taking care, and really, it's kind of a self-care thing, right? Like when you really care about your finances, and then you go through the process of sitting down, doing the work, and then you level up your finances by educating yourself and by knowing that, I mean, I never thought about investing, like I come from Colombia, a very low standard family, and going through the whole investing process made me realize anybody can do it. It doesn't matter if you are in whatever position there is, everybody can do it. You just need to know how to get there, and you don't need to be at all rich or have a lot of money. You can just start here in Germany. I don't know how it's in the UK, but in Germany, it's like with 25 euros a month, you can start investing in the stock market. So it's like anybody can do it.
This is very, very interesting, and I'm glad you're talking about this, because as you know, I've started to read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I was listening to it.
I love that book.
Yesterday. I already love it. I think I'm on chapter 3 now, but I really, really love it. But as I was listening to it, questions came to my mind, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit. I'm just offering myself as an example. So
sure.
The questions that came to my mind were, first of all, a little bit regret, because I'm in my 30s now and I haven't really studied financial literacy, what you talked about it and he's talking about in the book. And then I'm feeling like, is it too late? Or like, maybe you could say a little bit about that. Can anybody start at any time?
Yes, anybody can start at any time, but of course, the earlier you do it, the better, because there is a thing called compound interest. And that's an amazing thing that works on your favor if you're very, very, young, and then you start just investing, because it just grows exponentially. It's a exponential return on your money. But I mean, in terms of age, you can really start anytime, but of course, the financial planning's changed
Yes.
because then you cannot just, go all risk on it, or your return will not be as big as, or you will need much more money to get a higher return, right?
Yeah.
Because you started later. But actually, everybody can start anytime. It's just the conditions are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do understand that. And I mean, I did write this down as one of the questions, and maybe we can just talk about it now, is that this whole idea of investments and the stock market and all of this, I've labeled it here as, ways of passive income. And my question is, yeah, can anyone do it? But even more, because you probably say yes, but can anyone do it? But how much time and knowledge does somebody need to invest if they haven't got that knowledge yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a relevant point, and we can connect it to the question before in terms of, for instance, when you start reading the book, and it happened the same to me, right? When I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I realized I don't have the knowledge, and nobody ever told me that. So I felt also like betrayed, like I didn't know it. I don't know, why do I don't know those things?
Yeah,
it's so relevant, right?
I mean, I feel a little bit like this. I'm actually glad that I am reading it now, because it's better, it's better to read it in my 30s than reading it maybe in my 60s or 70s. But yeah, carry on. Yeah.
Absolutely, exactly. And then I felt like, and I think Robert Kiyosaki, the author of the book, he says, this should be a topic that we really taught at schools all around the world. It's like money, finances, taxation is such a relevant topic that it's actually really join us throughout our lives, not just like chemistry or physics that is not really relevant for many of us, but we have it at school. So that's the issue there in terms of its education in the system. And also going back to your question, yes, you definitely will need to then put the effort and study and learn how to invest, because you cannot just go into the markets and try to do the best you can, because there is a system behind it, and there are key concepts that you really need to manage and know and understand to feel also well. Because the idea when you invest is that you go to bed and you will feel comfortable because you know what you're doing, and you know you're doing good decisions in investing, because at the end of the day, it's your money, it's your effort, it's important, it's very relevant. And that's why it has to be taken very seriously, right? But then, yes, you can invest, but you need to put the time, the effort. I mean, I would say it depends. You have two options. You either have somebody who already walked that path and will help you quicker to get where you want to get. For instance, a financial coach, a financial advisor, a seminar, that will quickly put you in another position, because that people will just take you by the hand, like, what I do also with my clients, and just in 6 weeks time, there you go. You have your plan, you have idea, you have what you need. But otherwise, the other option is that you just do it by yourself, and then it's going to take you longer, but you can get there as well. So it's a matter of decision, and see how you're feeling, what will work better for you.
Okay, that was more like a general answer. Like, how can you find out whether this is the right path for you?
Whether I mean, either both options?
Like in terms of investments, should somebody just look into it and see whether it feels right, or how can you determine whether you should spend your time and with this topic and then invest?
Oh, okay, I see. I think it's a very, it's really a very personal feeling, because many people don't really enjoy the topic. They will not really like to stay, the weekends studying and reading and trying to understand that financial jargon that is sometimes quite hard to understand.
Yes.
So, but for instance, for me, it was the opposite. I started to read and I loved it, that I really kept on doing it every weekend, every day. And I understood and I wanted to know more. So I felt that there is my topic and I like it and I enjoy it. And it's not a burden. So if you feel it's a burden, you maybe might ask help, for a coach to help you. But if you enjoy it, then you feel it, and then you just can't do it, right?
Although I don't want people, when people listen to this interview, I don't want them to think that they read one thing and they don't feel good about it, and that's why it's not for them. I'm going to ask you a different question, because this happened to me in the past. For example, with Tony Robbins' book about money, I started to read it and I didn't get it, and I was just like, maybe this is just not for me. But now with Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's kind of like on a more personal level. It's combined, like a story and learning about money. So I think it's a nice beginner's book. So if someone like me starts to gain an interest, starts with a book like this, like where can you, like, what are good steps to take from there? Because I remember you saying you read the Tony Robbins money book and you completely got it, but was this after studying money for a while?
Yeah, exactly. I think I read Tony Robbins' like Money Mastered Game book 1 year after I've been really studying the topic and the market and educating myself, because when you jump into Tony Robbins' book, he's going to be talking about hedge fund managers and ETFs and exchange traded funds and bear markets and bull markets. And if you don't understand that jargon, it's going to be hard to get it.
Yeah.
So of course there is an effort to it, but I love the point you're making out in terms of you first, were going to Tony Robbins and heard about money, and then you try yourself and it didn't really work out, and then you thought this is maybe not for me. So that's super interesting, because I think maybe there is not just like, it's not for me, but maybe it's not a topic that you really, would love to spend your time into. But it doesn't mean that money or investing is not for you. It just means that you might need just the help to help, just to have a process or a program or a system where you can quicker get there without you putting the time and effort.
Yeah. Do you have like a list of books or a list of links or websites or any sort of information that would be good for beginners that you could share?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do have on my website, I do have a part called, like a link called financial literacy. And then you will have a list of books. And the first one is Rich Dad Poor Dad, but because as you said, it's really a basic beginner's ones. And I love how he's through his story telling you about money and investing. Okay. So there is, I know I can send it to you so you can share it also on the description of the video.
I will, yes, exactly. That's what I'm going to do. That's really great. That's really great. And then I'm curious, what behaviors have you noticed with women in your coaching practice when it comes to money, and why is it important for women to make a change in terms of money? I mean, we a little bit touched on it, but maybe you could talk a little bit more on this topic.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think it's important, especially the last part of the question you mentioned, because we talk about why it's important for women, and I think there are maybe main 3 reasons why. For instance, first main reason is about the wage gap. Unfortunately, and we know that most women in all around the world, but in Europe as well, you're being less paid than men. You can have the same degree, the same experience level, but then you still are being marginalized, and then you just really get less pay than that. And then you get that less pay, and then you put it into a savings account, which is losing your money every year because of inflation and because of interest rate at just negative or 0 at the moment. So you do not get anything, you're just losing money every year if you let your money sitting in your bank account. And that's like a fact. And that's why investing is so important. But exactly, so the wage gap, and then there is opportunity gap, and there is an investing gap, because many people that invest in the stock market are men and no women. Even though women, we have a more long-term perspective, and that's great for investing. That's why women are really good at investing, because we are not like these like men, trying to get rich quick. We just have the long-term perspective, we're more patient, and that helps us as investors. We have that from our nature as women. So that's something to take advantage of. So I would say, wage gap is a huge issue there. Another one is that we live longer lives than men. So, longevity is something
That's
else.
true. I never thought of that in terms of money. That's true. Yes.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. And that means that because you live longer, you will need more money when you are retired, because you live longer.
Yes.
And, but I think we're going to talk about retirement later on. But the thing about retirement is that, in which terms do you want to be going into retirement? Because normally if you are earning 3,000 euros a month net, and in retirement you just get 1,500 or 1,800, imagine just cutting your salary at half when you're 65. That's it causes a huge impact on your life. And I don't think anybody wants to be in that position, and especially women, that we live longer than men. So we're going to have to really look into alternatives, how to change that. So those are 2 points. And the last point I would say that is very, very important for women is also, we're the ones getting the children, getting kids, which means that even though if we're working, have a good salary, we're still gonna be facing career gaps, or we're gonna be facing motherhood. And that means you're gonna get less money, which means you're gonna get less at the end and in retirement, because you're not working. Let's say you've got 2 kids or 3 kids, maybe 4 years, working full time, and that will really make, you will see it at the end when you're going into retirement. So those, I would say, 3 aspects which are very relevant when you're a woman, that you have to take into account, and that you have to act on it and change kind of the way you want it to be.
That's very interesting. Okay, but maybe some women might say, okay, yes, I am actually a mom at home and my husband is bringing the main chunk of the income home. So how can I take any control or any empowerment in terms of money in my life if I'm at home and maybe I have a part-time job, but I'm not really earning that much? What would you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question. I mean, because I am a big believer of really, women being empowered and women being in that position of I'm independent and I can take my decisions and I don't need of anybody, But of course, so many women are in that position, I guess. And I don't know. I mean, I would say, hopefully you have a wonderful relationship with your partner so you can really talk openly about it and say how important it is. Kind of put the topic on the table and say, hey, why don't we discuss about investing? What about our retirement? What about making investment for our children? That might be interest for your partner, and then you may have like a common account, and then you can develop a plan for yourself. I've been coaching couples as well. And it's really beautiful, because you see they both committed to the topic, they learn together, they grow together, and there is so much energy in those couples, right? Because they already have a common account. In both cases I've had, the man has been always earning more than the girl, but they still have a common account. They don't make that difference of, oh, hey, but I'm earning more, so I have to get more out. They really very much into, I don't know, sharing and supporting each other. So it really comes down to the, I would say, kind of, partner you choose.
Yeah.
But I will say, put it on the table, talk about it. It's important, and I'm sure men will be open to that.
I think this is really interesting, because maybe just because you're not the main earner right now doesn't mean that you don't think about money at all. Actually, maybe this is a great opportunity if you are at home with the children. I mean, I'm not saying you're not busy at home, because I used to be a nanny, so I know that you will be busy, but maybe you do have some time to look into this topic while the child's taking a nap, or while they're playing with their friends, and you actually have the chance to look into these things while maybe your partner doesn't, and maybe you can discuss these things with your partner at night when they come home from work. So I do think there is definitely room. And I'm glad that you're mentioning that it's also a great opportunity to discuss these things together and to grow money mindset together. That's actually really great point to make here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. That's very true. Exactly what you said about. I just remember one client, and she was pregnant, and we did the coaching while she was like in the last months of pregnancy. And so she said, "I'm doing the coaching now because I'm gonna have 6 months maternity leave, and then in those 6 months, I'm gonna be really studying finances and investing and how to, because she's gonna, as you said, use that time of being at home to educate herself, and that's just a great idea."
Yes, maybe we can also talk a little bit about, I mean, we talked about negative money beliefs already, but because we are talking about women and having children and all of this right now, I'm sure you also have heard people say, oh, but money is not that important to me, or yeah, everything that kind of comes along these lines. But when you think of your family, money is actually important to you, and wouldn't you want to study a positive money mindset so that you can teach your children a positive money mindset? That's what I would think about, rather than being greedy or anything like that, because in the end of the day, everybody around you will benefit if you have studied money. You maybe have the chance to make more money, and you'll be able to teach your children, because as we've mentioned before, this topic isn't taught in school, so this is something that is taught at home. So it's definitely really important to look into this. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about retirement. So what is your advice when it comes to retirement or retirement plans? I actually don't know that much about it, so yeah.
Okay, I mean, sure. The thing with retirement is, because it's interesting, right? Like that's also kind of a conditioned in mind, in terms of, that we get 60 or 65 and then we're going to get into retirement. But now things are shifting in terms of, many people are thinking, I don't want to be retiring at 65. I want to be retiring at 50, or I want to really, make my money work so hard for me that when I'm 50, I don't have to work anymore, which means I am financially free and I can really do whatever it is that I love. If I love my job, then I will continue doing my job, but I don't have that secureness of financially stability, right? So that's interesting. And that's why I think we really have to ask ourselves, what's for me retirement? What does that mean? What I would like to do? What about my finances? Because it's a very, very important point, especially if we're getting older. And so it's important just to think about, not just to go with the, with the whole world in terms of what retirement is, but what's retirement for me? What does it mean? What is it that I want? And how can I get there? That's important, first of all.
Can I just quickly ask something? What do you mean when you say, what is it that I want? Like, what amount of money per month do I want in my retirement, or what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like having a financial plan in place, because the thing is, many people don't have any plan. So, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? Yeah. And that's so important. And then the thing is, exactly. So what we do at financial planning is that we say, how old are you? When do you want to get retired? And then if they say 50, then we have, let's say, 20 years to work with it. Then we see, what's your investment capital and what is it that you can invest every month? And so we do projections to see what will happen if you invest, let's say, for instance, to put it into an example. We have, let's say, Catherine, and Catherine is earning, let's say, I don't know, 3,000 euros a month. And those 3,000 euros, she can invest every month 500 euros in the stock market for the next 30 years. And she will do that every month, right? She educated herself, because her goal for retirement is to have 1 million euros when she's 60, right? And so she invests the 500 euros every month for the next 30 years. And when she gets to 60, she is gonna have been receiving, like, say, 9% return every year, which is what history shows that the stock market gives. And then by the end of when she's 60, she's gonna have more than 1 million euros sitting in her depot, in her account.
Okay.
And that's kind of the projections you want to have, right? Is it that I want to have, 500,000, 300,000? How much money do I need now, and how much money monthly do I have to put into the market for me to hit that goal of retirement, for instance?
Interesting. Okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and I would say also about retirement, like there are like 3 main pillars of retirement. So you have, of course, the government retirement plan, like government pension, but we said it's already very difficult because it's going to be less than what you actually earned, if there's going to be any.
Yeah.
So that's tricky. And that's also like you giving that responsibility to the state. You're not taking responsibility for your retirement, right? Because laws can change every time, so we don't know. We cannot change it. We have no control of it. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is a company pension scheme or a plan, right? Like many people who work and have a company, the company offers the employees a pension scheme or a plan. So for instance, there is the 401k, which means you are as an employee 100 euros a month into your retirement, and the employer will match you with 100 euros more every year, let's say. And so your money really grows, and you get always match the same amount you're saving that your employer is going to give you. So every time you get into a new job, or if you are in a job, ask your company, do you have a scheme? Do you have a pension scheme? Do you have a retirement plan for me? So that you know, and you can kind of really take action towards that. But it's also based in a company, so you don't have control of it. And the third pillar is investments, and this is the only pillar we really have 100% control of, because it only depends on us. And that's important. And then you can either do real estate, stock market, peer-to-peer lending. There's so many options to go around that.
That's really, really interesting, like all these different options to look into. Is there anything that comes to mind that you want to share with the audience before we finish this interview?
I think I will say, just to finish, it really, really, it's important, and it really is worth it to take the time to have like a financial date with yourself and write down your numbers, do the work, get interest, ask people, go into a coaching, but make it happen, right? Have clarity. What is it that you want? What do you want to achieve financially? And then go get it, because we all can do it. And that's what I would like to say to finish.
Okay. And where can people find you if they're interested in your coaching?
I have my website, so I have, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook as Marcela Barrera, Financial Coaching for Expats, and my website is www.marcelabarrera.com.
Lovely. Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so much fun, and I'll see you next time.
Sure, Mel. It was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.